Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. I was talking the other day about which sort of paranormal things I find plausible and which ones I find difficult to accept. And I realized I left out a pretty significant one, and that is the art of magic. Now, most people are imagining somebody who's, you know, laying down a pentagram, reading from some crumbling book, invoking the ancient ones to perform their will. Well, that's called ceremonial magic. And while most of it isn't quite that dramatic, it is something almost everybody indulges in every single day. One of the biggest users of magic are sports fans. You know them all. They have a lucky shirt or a lucky baseball cap or whatever it is that they wear for luck. Now, what is luck? It's the desire that the universe will somehow favor you. In a game of chance, that luck will be the one that makes the difference. So, this is magical thinking. And it's something, like I said, we see every single time the local sports team makes the playoffs or whatever it is. It's not very hard to do. Gamblers, whew, the superstitions they have, that would actually be a very entertaining episode because there's there's some good stories there, but I didn't do any research on that for this one. That would be a good one though. Magic is nothing more than your will trying to influence the universe as you see it. There's ceremonial magic, as I mentioned earlier, and there's also divine magic. Now, divine magic is a little on the peculiar side. It's like a prayer on steroids. Because most people pray in one way or another for whatever goal. It's just a question of what they pray for. I've always found it curious that our present day was shaped back in ancient Roman times, 2,000 years ago, because you have this hotbed of the Dionysian cult, which is basically drinking a whole lot and finding somebody that you are sexually attracted to and partying at least a week, if not more. The mysteries of Isis that date back supposedly to ancient Egypt. At any rate, they do seem to have established themselves worldwide. And up against that, you get a pretty young upstart religion known as Christianity. But Christianity was incredibly good at creating an atmosphere. And there's two atmospheres it created. The numinous atmosphere, numinous means the feeling of being holy, and a community atmosphere. Let's look at the churches in Europe and even the churches being built today. They are gorgeous. They smell like ugly wet socks, but at the same token, they are gorgeous. And the second you walk in, you look up and the artwork inspires you. The the flying buttresses, the carved faces, all that sort of thing is inspirational beyond belief, and it puts you in the mindset that you are entering sacred territory. Now, various churches have ways to show their own. You've heard of the mark of the beast? Well, when you're born into a church, or when you are accepted into a church, you are baptized. A little bit of holy water is dipped on your forehead, marking you as cleansed, and you are now a member of that church. then have your communion, confirmation, whatever you want to call them, and they're reinforcing that that church is a community. Now, communities are very powerful. They not only offer you a religious structure by which you can invoke the angels and the gods and the saints and whatever else your particular church might offer, but it also offers a sense of community. This is the real secret of a church. I've never seen, well, I have seen, but it's rare, people who go to a church and then just leave. No, you're encouraged to hang out, to socialize, to be amongst the others. And this is what churches have achieved is they've established that mini community. So because you're part of that church, you might be, I'm having trouble, and it's with Farmer John. And Bill comes over and says, I know Farmer John. What's the problem? Let me help you out here. And, well, keeps knocking down my fence and allows his goats to graze in my backfield. And don't worry, I'll be talking to him tomorrow, and maybe we'll invite you over and get this solved. Magic of community is never to be underestimated. And it can seem like a godsend because Farmer John was not being very nice or ignoring you or whatever. There's also another thing that churches can do, and it's to isolate you, whether through excommunication, whether through voluntary ignoring you. The church can turn their back and leave you with nobody to turn to. And it can make you feel quite isolated depending on how, popular that particular church or cult or sect or whatever it might be is. And you can definitely tell when suddenly people decide to stop talking to you. I haven't gone through it, but I know somebody who has, and it's quite a traumatic incident. And they actually didn't do anything. It was just church policy. Moving along, we have other rituals. There's folk rituals, and there's, like I said, ceremonial rituals. I'd like to look at folk rituals for a moment. One of the spells I learned, because I actually studied this when I was younger, thinking I'd become some sort of powerful wizard. I didn't, but I learned. One of the spells I studied, and at first I laughed at it, and it took me a while to truly understand it. You see, the spell is to bring rain. You beat a broom upon the water, and then you shake it at the sky. And I was laughing because, of course, that brings rain. You're going to be wet after a couple minutes of that broom shaking at you. What I didn't understand was the psychology. Just as the church is bringing you in and showing you a sacred space, beating a broom and shaking at the sky is recreating the sensation of a sudden rainfall. Because the water comes down, falls into your face, it's not a horrible storm, but it's that same feeling as if you were caught by a storm. It puts your mind in the mentality that, oof, something like this could happen very soon. And mental magic is very important. Look at books like The Power of Positive Thinking. It's been around for 50 years, longer than that, and there's a reason for it. I do recommend reading it. It's getting a little dated, but so long as you're a critical reader, it's interesting to read the direction this man is taking. The laws of attraction, where you are attracting prosperity and stuff like that towards you. You know what? These books work because the people who wrote them attracted prosperity, attracted fame. They attracted everything they wanted. They wrote what they wanted down, and they got it. Writing itself is a form of magic. Today, when we're surrounded by the internet and books and stuff, it doesn't seem quite so magical. But I can tell you, there's a lot of people that don't want to read because it requires such a mental focus. And they think people that read a lot are strange. Kind of like they came out of another world. The same was true in ancient times. Scribes were treated exactly as you would you know, Saruman or Gandalf or any of those other wizards because they had powers that nobody else could explain at the time. Just by keeping track of a boring ledger, the king's treasury, scribes were able to tell mystical things without even having to look. The king would say, "How many herds of sheep do I have at present?" You know, you got 16 herds in the northern realm. You got 14 in the southern realm. Oh, and how many bushels of wheat do I have? Oh, you got 22 in the west and 34 in the east, or whatever the case may be. And it was almost magical because right now we're used to going to the internet and looking things up. These guys did not have to do that, not one bit. They're just able to look at their mystical scrolls or papyrus or whatever they were using culturally appropriate, and it was like they were able to push their mind into other places. And that's the way a lot of people will react to good writing. It's like something that comes from beyond and manifests. Now, again, your mental attitude and manifestation are the two most important things. So when you see somebody poring over old scrolls and stuff like that, they're looking for ways to manifest what they want in their life. Just as somebody who is fighting with a business or a bank or the government is going to pore over the laws and the decisions to try to make things go their way. And they're usually, well, depending on how dedicated they are, they're usually quite successful. That's magic to some people. How do you know how to do this? Well, because I was able to look into this place beyond. But it's also the dedication. You are concentrating your effort into it. You're picturing what you want the outcome to be, and you're finding ways to make it happen. I always try to do that. I will always study the best way to do things, but I'll have a few backup plans. And this is what rituals do. They give that numinous aspect, numinous meaning feeling of holiness, so that, say you are putting that pentagram in the ground, and not saying necessarily that you're sacrificing anything, but maybe you're lighting some candles and some incense. Incense just changes the mood in the room. The lighting of the candles, it changes the mood in the room. This is exactly what is done by people who go on peyote or ayahuasca expeditions, where they go out in the middle of the field somewhere, everybody takes their dose, and they feel more connected to the earth, the world around them, and they feel it has expanded their mind. Your mind is an incredibly powerful thing. We, that old chestnut where we only use 10% of our brain, has been disproven by so many people and brain scans that I don't even know why it's appealed to anymore. No, we use almost all of our brain in one way or another, but we don't put it to the proper use. As I said, the magic is just in knowing where to look. That employee that everybody turns to because they always have solutions, guess what? They only have their solutions because they have the experience to say, this is where to look, this is how to do things. Up in an emergency, we can do things the old way. So, this is why I believe in magic. I mean, stage magic perfectly works. Magic the Gathering, the game, perfectly works. And even the idea of changing someone's mindset. Performing a ritual, doing a prayer, even full on trying to delve into necromancy or other such things. It's a matter of changing your mindset. So when it's you versus the world, you have a slight advantage because you are concentrating on a purpose, whether it's to get a new job, whether it's to get, you know, money and riches and prosperity, whatever your reason is. By focusing your mind and tuning it, magic and magical rituals accomplish what they set out for. And that's simply because they're effective, and they have been for millions of years. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to click the bell icon down in the bottom right so that way you can be informed every single time we publish a new episode. And we hope you have a fantastic day.